Hey everybody, how's it going? Doing another live video here today. As you can tell from the title and something I had posted a little bit earlier this week, we have two new fighters for Skirmish. Those will be the Barbarian, and I'll see if I can do enough for you to see it, and also the Necromancer. These were introduced on our Thursday playtest, so this last Thursday. There had been some kickings around before about now that we flip pieces over for when somebody dies on the board, their team token gets flipped, and we've been using them as like a pseudo barrier. And that's been playtesting great. So whoever back when we did the playtest in Pine Knot started doing that first, I owe you. That was a great addition. But with that, people wanted to be able to interact with them more once they were set. So having a Necromancer that's able to move those body tokens around is almost intuitive. But then we had noticed that now we have barriers in the body tokens as well, so we're going to probably need something to take care of those, and that is where the Barbarian comes in. So how their abilities work is the Necromancer, when the one of the team tiles gets flipped upside down, when one of the fighters perishes, it is able to move it around just like the wizard would a barrier. So kind of same rules. I think the only big difference is if one of the fighters dies around the edge, these can stay there, unlike barriers that are never allowed until it's moved. Once it's moved, it can no longer be moved back to the edge. And again, that's just to prevent castling and stuff. And then the Barbarian, we went back in a couple different iterations on it, and I believe we settled on the best solution where what he can do is he can use his movement to get to a barrier, smash it, and then if he has any movement left, continue through, whether to get another kill or not, if there is somebody in range. But that kind of helps sort some of those barriers, or somebody's castled up, and kind of a crux to the wizard. The first couple people I've told are always like, oh yeah, nice barrier, nerd. Smashes through it. So I guess jocks and nerds are still being prevalent in this game. But that is how the barrier, or the Barbarian and the Necromancer work. Let's see, maybe I can make a little stand if somebody comes in later and you can see them. There we go. There has been some other things that I've added in since I was in doing those models. I went and reworked a few, one being the wizard, whose hat is now no longer deadly sharp. I had, during one of my tests, stabbed myself, good enough for the wizard to be sticking out of my thumb as I pulled my hand away, so decided that, it's time to smooth those down, more of a conical shape rather than a pure cone. So it's a little bit rounded. The same goes for the jouster. His lance is now not quite as pokey. Almost looks like a carrot, which might be kind of a fun paint job. But so he is also not quite as pokey. The Duelist, I also used a cone instead of just a stick, because I was worried at exactly what happened. Hey, Cassie. Where the point might be too sharp, and so now the same thing with the the wizard and the jouster, where it might be too pokey. So I might have to go back in and redo that. I'm trying to see if be able to see difference on there. It looks nicer though, so I think there's some reworking I can do, and just making sure that top's a little more blunt and a little more thick as well, so it doesn't snap off as people play, or it's in the box. It feels sturdy enough, but you never know. Miles, hey, how's it going? Long time no see. And for those of you with a sharp eye, you might notice that the Necromancer is similar to the Halloween exclusive Grim Reaper that I had put out if you were able to find me on Halloween 2022. But there's a few differences. This one has more of a skeletal face, and he just has the scythe in his right hand. This one is more of the general meeple look with the scythe in the left hand, and he has it like a Necronomicon in the other side. So I got to go through and do some more tweaking with the models there. I am finding that the bases were not laying flat as I printed the last time, so I went back and tried to get those models to sit on my printer better. And they're still printing fine, but now that I've done that, I'm still trying to nail down the magnet hole in the bottom, which, again, isn't something I need to have, but I think quality of life for people who do want to put those like rare earth magnets for figurines and to schmuck them to the bases, that'll be nice. So give them the option, but I checked everything, and there's still a few that printed out without the circle in the bottom, so I'm a little bit flummoxed on why that is. That being said, that playtest, I want to thank Rob and Phil and Josh again for coming and getting that new step taken. I kind of in the 11th hour, I didn't want to add anything more to this in the end, but I do think it brings a lot more to the game to be able to move those body barriers around and to have then something to interact with them as well. So that leaves us with 10 fighters now. So I'll probably post in some pictures sometime this week if I have time. It's kind of busy. I don't know if we'll get to drawing their art assets yet. And reworking the rule book, yada yada. So I griped for a while because I was like, I don't want to add anything more. I'm almost done with everything. We could polish it off and ship it out. But I do truly think that these things are, both these new fighters are going to be well worth it. What little extra work I have to do to get them in. So again, touching up on the rule book. And I guess we'll go on a little bit about what some of the other discussions were. Before it was, when there was 8 fighters, it was how many sets of these fighters, because we want people to be able to draft them as they play, and we were stuck between, originally it was 4, but that's a lot to print, especially if they're not all getting utilized, so we dropped it down to 3. Now that we have 10 fighters, we may only have 2 sets, so it'd be a total of 20, 10 duplicated. And I think that'll be enough. I'm printing off a second set now just to kind of get a feel for it. And that way when people are playtesting, I'll have more Barbarians and Necromancers to use. But I do think we'll probably have just the 2 sets. So when you're drafting, I can take any of the verbiage out of the rule books of where you can only have up to 2 of the same fighter on the team, because there'll only be 2 of each one. So it'll be harder to get that both on your team. But we'll see. It could go back up to 3. I'm not sold either way yet. One thing, we went back and forth on this, because as I had shown last time, we had them printed in color with kind of matching sets. The color tells you roughly what they do. It's very nice visually. And I love it. I still kind of want to do it, but truthfully, just for producing at the scale that I do for time efficiency and costs, the models are varied enough where, let's see if I tip you guys down slowly here, where at a glance, most folks can tell them apart even after their first few rounds of playing. And of course, there'll be pictures and guides in the book and so on and so forth. But, no, that's not really a great view. But they're all different enough, and my argument is people can tell chess pieces apart. Yes, there's only, 6 different types of chess pieces, but most of these are varied enough, and it only maybe takes a second or two more of looking at them to go, oh, okay, I know for sure that that's this one or that one. So I think we're going to grayscale the pieces. The team tokens will still be colored. If I cannot find a clear yellow, it is up in the air as to what color I will be doing. If I can find like a milky white or maybe a gray or black translucent, that would be kind of fun. It's just so easy to get dice and colors that are the 3 primary colors in green. Like, they sell those for most colors and most dice and most stuff, so it's just easy, red, blue, green, and yellow. It's a nice pairing of the 4 colors. But market being what it is and what I have available to me, I'd hate to have to do one color that's not water washable, or one color that's not translucent. They got to be either all opaque or all translucent. And so the hunt is back on for that. So anybody who knows some good water washable printer resin, let me know. I will take both suggestions for opaque and clear at this time, as long as I can get 4 colors of the same thing. So anybody who wants to earn some brownie points, I would absolutely love that. But again, we'll have our team bases colored, and then probably the token, the +1, -1 tokens, and the barriers we're going to do in fancy colors too. I think there's some really cool, fun, color changing, depending on how the light hits it, from a blue to a purple. If I could find that for barriers, I think that'd just be a delight. But all that said, that's what the playtesting is for, right? Get some guys over, and I am amazed every time where I was worried it was going to turn into let's just play games, or we're kind of playing the same games over and over, and nothing's coming out of it. But truly, the 3 hours twice a month that we put in puts out so much work and effort and results. I'm just flabbergasted at the end of the night. And usually what happens is we play for the first 2 hours, and then the big idea hits in the last 45 minutes and a half an hour when I'm trying to shoo people out of the house. And then we just go ballistic and go, and we could do this, and we could do that, and this would be sweet. But it's good. It's worth it. Having those guys here really pushed it to get those 2 new pieces in, and I think it's going to make a better game overall for everybody. So that's what we do it for. So yeah, with that said, I don't think there's a ton more to talk about. I will be also bringing up the world map for All Hallows Eve. So those of you who are tuning into this right now, you maybe have a little bit of a head start on thinking if it's something you want to do. The long and the short of it is there are houses available for sale on the map. So when we do a live stream, you would get a house. Once you buy it, that is yours. And if one of the trick-or-treaters interacts or one of the monsters is by it, you'll get a cool little shout-out for your name, and there might be some other cool things that go with it. Maybe if we happen to have a candy piece on your house, rather than the lights out, there's some neat little thing, or we do something for you. But it's a fun way to own a piece of property in this world of All Hallows Eve. So again, I'll be doing a separate video on that at some point, and get into more details and showing you all that. But this is a treat for anybody who decided to watch the end of this and tune in today, so you can start thinking if that would be something you would like to do. So without further ado, I hope you guys have a great weekend or day whenever you are watching this, and go enjoy the nice weather while you can. See ya.